Welcome to my podcast. My name is Karina, and I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, 2 horses that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Adoption Program, and 2 kitties we adopted from the local animal shelter. Information about these adoption programs will be in the show notes for every episode. The purpose of this podcast is to share real-life stories that hopefully are relatable to other crafters who might be interested in horses. The format of this podcast starts with a walk to the barn to feed the horses, catch up on the week, share my knitting projects, and other interests like bicycling or hiking. I also talk about vegetable gardening and cooking. I hope you bring your favorite beverage and a fun, crafty project to work on. Enjoy! Good morning, friends. Happy Friday, July 10th, 2026. Thank you for joining me on this walk out to the barn where I think about feeding horses. I think about the week in retrospective. Let's look at the garden a little bit, shall we? Look, potatoes are doing well. Beans are doing okay. Strawberries have been eaten by deer. Peas are doing okay. Anyway, the work week, the knitting week, I have to say, in terms of knitting, I'm a little disappointed in my garments. So I ripped back the crochet garment that I had started. I'm finding it not as easy to keep track of the number of stitches when you crochet back and forth. My sock arms sweater, I am really at a crossroads with that, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I am thinking about ripping it all out except for the sleeves and starting it over as a cardigan and doing the alternating helical knitting, which I guess it isn't helical if you're going back and forth, but you know what I mean, alternating stripes. I do have a half-finished object for you. Sock knitting is going well. I'm happy to report that. I hurt my back last Saturday, and it has to do with Odin's PT. Part of his PT is picking up a foot and asking him to stand on 3 legs, which helps strengthen their core and their balance and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard for him. So he leaned on me, and I didn't notice in time. So my back has been sore all week, and it probably was not a wise decision to go on a bike ride on Sunday when I knew my back hurt, but we were doing a easy flat ride, so I thought it'd be okay. Good morning, Braggy. How are you? Let's see where O is. So I've been dealing with my back all week. Good morning, O. But I've still managed to do Odin's PT and worked with Braggy much. That's okay. We're going to have a session today with my trainer. So he's had a couple weeks off from that. And we did practice before I hurt my back, and he did great. So I'm going to get to feeding, and I'll catch up with you about the knitting later. Hey friends, it's much later in the day than when I started this morning. In fact, it's 3:00 in the afternoon, so it's been a full day. It's also been a while since I have podcast outside. It's a beautiful summerish day. It's probably in the low to mid 70s maybe. And what have I been doing today? So I went to the dentist. I went to the feed store. I went to the grocery store. Then I came back and did Odin's PT. And then my trainer came over and had a lesson with Braggy. And then I did some gardening. And then I did some barn chores. And here we are. Wow, finally. So I think I'm going to call this podcast the Garment WIP Reset. So let's just start the way we always start. And that's, what am I wearing? I am wearing the Jessie Made Designs. And this is, mini mock neck tank. I really like it. I always wear a tank top just because the armholes are big. I have worn it without and it's fine. There's enough coverage. It's just a tank top, so I'm not even going to stand up. I mean, it's just plain. It's seamless, as I recall. I'm planning on making another one. Maybe just not quite so much gaposis in the armholes. And it's, just a lot of stockinette in the round. So that's cool. And then it ends with ribbing and bada bing. And there is this kind of a nice finish here on the armholes. So that's what this is. I highly recommend this pattern. The way the pattern is written is with a lot of negative ease. And I like neutral ease. And I did make this with a little more positive ease that I had intended, but it definitely serves my purposes. So that's great. Let me show you the project that is going well. And that is my Practically Perfect socks. And this is summer stitching. This is a Bakery Bears annual tradition, and the pattern is by KF Jones. So there's just a little bit of lace detail that's kind of hard to see in this sock because of the way that the yarn is speckled. But I wonder, I didn't bring a sock blocker with me, but I'm wondering if I could stretch it out and you can just see it a little bit better there. So I started with the Pop of Color cast on, holding 2 strands of yarn. I really like this technique because then I don't have to guess on how much I need for a long tail cast on, because you're using 2 strands of yarn. You just start with a tail or 2 tails really, and you just cast on, and the color that you want the pop goes on your thumb. If you know what I mean, you're doing the thing. So heel flap and gusset, I decided to do the heel turn in this contrast color. So this is a Woolen Women. This is Kentucky Derby colorway. And then the contrast color is from Emma's Yarns. And she's a dyer out of Florida. So this is leftover yarn from my last colorwork sweater that I did, the Talvinin. So love this yarn, and I'm happy that I had enough to make a pair of socks. And I just cast on the second sock this morning, so this is all you get. I'm using 9-inch circulars and their Chowgu mini twists, and I'm using the size, it's a 2.25 millimeter, so I'm making the smallest sock. And then this is a Progress Keeper, or beginning of round, that I got from a local maker who is vending at the Fiber Fusion Northwest. So that's in this project bag made by my mom, drawstring, lined fabric, so very pretty. And then I will show you this project. This is the crochet project, and I just wanted to remind you what it was. It's the Verdant Tea, I think, crocheted vernal top. So this is what it looks like. So basically, the way this is, you cast on a certain number of stitches for your size, and then you knit in a pattern, and I think I called it seed stitch, but it's more like moss stitch if you were to compare it to knitting. I don't have much experience knitting garments, crocheting garments. I crocheted one garment can't remember if it was in the round or what it was, but it was a lot easier to keep track of. I am finding that crocheting back and forth, so I'm still ripping back. So what I ended up with is a big, you can see it right here. You can see this like big dip, and you can say, oh, well, okay, how about waist shaping? Well, I want it to work, so I'm going to rip all the way back to here to where it looks like it's the correct number of stitches, or it's close enough that I can make up for it. And what I started doing before I decided to rip out is putting a stitch marker every 10 stitches. Yeah, every 10 stitches, and then there was a little bit of leftover. So I'm still ripping this out, and so bah humbug. Garment, WIP, reset. So I didn't bring my other ones because I mentioned this morning on the way out to the barn that I am going to do something different with the sock arms cardigan. I'm going to save the arms because those are great, but I just need to do something different with the body. So I think I'm just going to rip it out, and then maybe I'll actually make it a cardigan, and then I don't have to make anything up. So I mean, it's a lot of purling. That was the reason why I decided to crochet in the round. I mean, I could start it as a pullover. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. So when things like that happen, it has to be a timeout. So that project can rest. I got a nifty birthday present for my mom. I just got it today, even though my birthday was a couple weeks ago. But, you know, it's handmade. It's hand curated. So she made this bag. Isn't this cool fabric? So yeah, my favorite drawstring type bag. This one isn't lined. It's perfect for a sock project. And she included a skein of yarn. So darn yarnman. Swatch for no one. I love this. So this is, it says MCN sock. It's a 80-10-10 blend, superwash, tangled up in hue. Looks like, so I'm wondering if she got this in Minnesota by any chance. So okay. Mayfield is the colorway name. So it's an intriguing color. I don't normally, I hope this is showing up brown, kind of a light brown. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Mix it with other colors, probably. So this is pretty fun. I'll have to ask her more about where she got this yarn. She also got me some chocolate peppermint tea, which is great. Soothes indigestion, so that's awesome. I do get indigestion. And then also this little, I think it's probably like a tea ball holder or something like that. I'm not sure what the symbol is. I'm not even sure if I'm holding it up correctly. So if anyone knows what this is, feel free to post in the comments. Otherwise, I will look it up on the internet. And then the last thing I got in my box is this gratitude journal. So looking forward to that. I think it's a good practice to do that. I mean, there has been some criticism lately about toxic positivity, but I don't think that's what this is. I think it can be really helpful just to remind yourself of the things that you have to be grateful for. And I think most of us have something to be grateful for every day. And I think it's helpful to be mindful for that. That's all I have for like crafty stuff that I want to talk about. I am going to, so if you're here just for the crafty stuff, thanks for sticking around, and I will see you next time. For those of you who just want to chit chat some more, I can just kind of go over what has been going on for the last week. So last time I podcast was July 3rd, and I had no lesson with Braggy. I was supposed to be out of town, and my trainer was out of town, so that was that worked out really great. then it was July 4th, and the first thing that Braggy did that morning is that he touched the electric fence. He's never done that. I was in the barn, and I hear a zap, and of course hooves running away from the barn. So he did it right outside of his stall, so it took a little time to convince him that it was okay to come back into the barn where his food is. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, he struggles with that. He would much rather be out staring off into whatever than be in his stall and eating. So I have to work with him for that. And then when you have the scary fence, that just makes it that much less convincing. Although, we have a pretty good bond of trust. So when I said, hey, can you come up? He did. He tried really hard. He got most of the way up, and he's like, oh, I can't do it. So, okay, so I put his halter on and let him up, and I didn't force him. I just asked him, can you come with me? And he did. And so, I stood with him in his stall while he ate for a little bit, and I told him he didn't have to stay there if he didn't want to, but this is where his breakfast was. Then, what else happened? We visited with some friends. There were a lot of fireworks that night, just like the big boom, the big illegal ones. No one enforces it. It's really unfortunate. There's always lost dogs posted on Nextdoor and other social media outlets, and it's really unfortunate that this happens every year, and it really kind of hurts my heart that people still are thinking of themselves more than they are about anyone around them, including military veterans. I understand that the big fireworks can be very traumatizing to military veterans, or probably anyone with any kind of noise sensitivity. So it's unfortunate. That's how we decide to celebrate. Also, I hurt my back. I think I mentioned this. So I've been doing Odin's. We're almost done with week 2 of Odin's PT, and part of his exercise is being able to stand on 3 legs and balance himself and tighten his core appropriately and stuff like that. Well, like I said, he leaned on me, and then when you're holding a horse's hoof, you're in an awkward position, and so yeah, I strained my back. Did that stop me from riding my bike on Sunday? No. We went on a nice, just like flat bike ride. I don't know if that made it worse or if it would have been the same. We just don't know. It was fun. That's all I'm going to say. It was fun. We were just continuing the kind of rail trail exploration up north, and we only rode 10 miles, so that was great. And but I have to say, the next day, Monday, I was really sore. So what else? Oh, I got a new computer. So I finally gave in and bought a Mac Airbook, I think is what it's called. I've kind of fiddled around with it a little bit, but honestly, and the whole reason why I bought it was for podcasting, was for ease of using iMovie with my GoPro. And I'm still using my phone, I confess. So I do have the footage from when I filmed week 1, day 2 of Odin's PT, so I could have a comparison. And I was going to see about maybe using iMovie to speed it up and, add a clip of it to one of these videos. But it wasn't as intuitive to do that as it is on my iPhone. So I need to take some time to figure that out. And of course I worked all week, so I didn't take the time to figure it out because I had other things that I needed to do, including Odin's PT. I mean, that's a 40-minute commitment every 6 days a week. So, but stay tuned. I do plan to dig into that at some point. It probably not as quickly as I hoped, but there we are. What else? So, I mean, that kind of brings us back up to present day. Braggy did really well in his lesson. My trainer took him and I mean, he did really well with me during the 2 week break, and we practiced a couple times, and he did great. So it was really time for him to go to the next level, and it's just best if my trainer handles that, because if something unexpected goes, then she can figure it out. So I hope that you have had a great week, and I hope you're enjoying summer. I hope it's not too hot where you are, or there's too many wildfires. I mean, there's a lot of wildfires here in the western part of the United States. And so far we have been lucky to not even have smoke. So we'll see. We'll see if that continues to be the case. I'm going to go do some more gardening. I've just started planting more things, and yeah, it's springtime gardening around here is just such a crapshoot. It's just because it can get quite cold, and plants don't like that. So it's easier to plant them, I think, late, and then we have, you know, such intense sunshine or intense daylight from May through August, that we can actually get a lot of things started, and then actually there's quite a few things that will overwinter, things that I like anyway. I mean, zucchini and potatoes and tomatoes, of course, won't overwinter, but a lot of the greens and cabbage and carrots and stuff like that will. So I am going to go pick some peas and I think some raspberries. So I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.